I'm James Lynch, and this is my stock report for UFC 311, taking a look at the biggest winners and losers from the event. And the thumbnail always gives it away. Biggest stock riser on this card was, to me, the best fight of the night. And the guy who won that fight was Merab, retaining his title as almost a 3-1 underdog. I think he was like plus, let's look at the odds here. He was a plus 225 underdog in this fight, and he gets it done. And listen, Merab got a lot of heat going into this fight. There was a lot of people, saying he was ducking this fight and that, he wasn't going to be able to handle Umar and all this different stuff. And listen, I was one of the people that didn't think he would win this fight. I picked Umar in this one, but Merab went out there and put on an all-time classic and retains his title in a very good performance here. And Merab is by far the biggest stock riser on this card because he did what no one thought he could do, and that was hand Umar Nurmagomedov the first loss of his career. And he did it in a fashion where there was a little bit of showboating. There was, a lot of different stuff. And I think, honestly, Merab won a lot of fans tonight. I mean, people were just blown away by that fight as a whole. I think it was really, really, really impressive. And again, he's, people are talking tonight. They're saying, don't call him Merab, call him the bantamweight GOAT. And I think there's a case for it if you look at who he's defeated on that resume now, which now includes Umar Nurmagomedov, Sean O'Malley, Henry Cejudo, Piotr Jan, Jose Aldo. I mean, those are some really big wins in the weight class. So hats off to Merab, biggest stock riser, in my opinion, on this card. He went out there and took care of business. Okay, second biggest stock riser on this card has to be the man who won as an underdog, and that was Yuri Prohaska. Really good fight with Jamal Hill. One of the fights of the night for sure. He threw it all out there, and he dropped Jamal Hill in the first round. Had a little bit of trouble in that second round with Jamal Hill, I think, taking that round. And then in the third round, he gets a ground and pound finish over Jamal Hill. Very impressive. Jamal Hill, third loss for him in his career. Again, really, good win here for Yuri, who, he's already got 2 losses to the champion. There was talk about him moving down, and then he gets this really good opportunity against Jamal Hill. And now all of a sudden he's back in the driver's seat in the contender spot. So really big win there for Yuri. Again, it's also just the fact that he gets the finish here. If he would have won a decision, that still would have definitely helped his case for being a contender in the weight class. But getting a finish over Jamal, nice way to sort of cap off what was kind of a tough year for him. I know he got the win over Rakic last year, but he had the loss to Pereira in the rematch, got finished in the second round. So Yuri Prohaska, definitely a stock riser on my card. And this guy, some people might have him ranked a little bit higher. Islam Makhachev's got to be a stock riser on this card. Now, look, is Renato Moicano the best opponent he's fought? No. Credit to Moicano, by the way, for stepping up and taking this fight with Arman Tsarukyan out of the fight. But it's the fact he did it so quickly, and the fact that, he had so much to lose in this spot. Like, people don't realize that, like, Islam fighting a guy like Moicano, I don't think a lot of people felt like he was going to get a title shot anytime soon. He was on a nice win streak, but I think he was at least 1-2 fights away from a title shot. He gets this opportunity, and, Islam's supposed to win. You're fighting a completely different guy in Renato Moicano, and to go out there and get it done in the first round, Islam's stock definitely went up. Not to mention, I believe he broke the title defense record tonight as well for lightweight, so there's that too. And this is a guy who has not lost a fight since 2015, so it's almost 10 years. We're coming up to the 10-year anniversary of him losing a fight. That's very impressive over a decade of him going undefeated. We'll see what's happening next with him, but Islam Makhachev, again, capping, and then also consider, his teammate Umar Nurmagomedov losing, all that going on, and he still goes out there and puts on that performance. Islam's stock definitely went up, so Islam Makhachev gets a stock rise on my list. Let's do a couple honorable mentions. There's a few here. Can't look past Jailton Almeida getting the first round TKO finish over Sergey Spivak. He's right up there in the rankings. He's only got I think just the one loss to Blades, at least recently. Just the one loss against Blades. He's in the mix now. Heavyweight's sort of going through a bit of a transition period right now with, we're thinking John Jones might not come back. We'll see. We'll see sort of what happens there. But if you look at heavyweight now, Almeida beating Spivak. So he's in that mix here. And he's going to get a big fight next, whether it's Cyril Gane or someone else. We'll see. But very good win there for Jailton Almeida. Got to mention Raoni Barcelos. Big underdog here, plus 750. Hope anyone... I even won a little money on that. He was like plus 750 against Payton Talbott. He goes out there as plus 710, gets the win. And it was just like, it was a dominant win. Like, he won every round. So Got to give him credit. I mean, this was a guy, if he lost, maybe he gets cut. He's 37. Like, what do you do with him? He gets new life in the UFC with this big win over Payton Talbott. And then one other guy we'll give an honorable mention to as well. And I know there's a couple different ways you could have gone with this one, but Rener to Ritter, I mean, at one point this week, he was the underdog. He goes out there and gets a first-round finish over Kevin Holland. It's just good for him because here's a guy who's, fairly new to the UFC, coming over for one championship. Him beating Holland certainly sets him up nicely. I mean, he's undoubtedly going to get a ranked opponent here next. Although I don't think Holland was ranked, or at least he shouldn't be, at middleweight. I'm just seeing right now anyways. Kevin Holland's not ranked, so he'll get a good fight after this. I'm thinking like Sean Sheehan mentioned Jack Hermanson. I think that's a great fight. Test out the grappling a bit. Jack Hermanson, Rener to Ritter. Very, very good fight. Reiner to Ritter, I should say. I don't know why I keep saying that wrong. But yeah, gets an honorable mention here for sure. Okay, let's go to the stock droppers on this card. And again, there's a couple different ways you could go, but to me, the most obvious one, and I talked about this in a video I already did on this fight, it's Payton Talbott. You are a minus 1150 and you don't even win a round and you don't even look competitive in this fight. Like, again, I think it's fine if we've got prospects we're excited about, but a lot of people are overhyping him, and they were talking about how, this is a future contender, and I just didn't see it. I did pick him in this spot, but I didn't think that he should be this much of a favorite. I thought Barcelos was a good test for him, but not one that I think he would look completely outclassed in. So Payton Talbott, back to the drawing board for him. Suffers his first career loss at 26. Again, he's young enough where he can turn it around, do things. But I mean, again, just the talk this week was, this is a guy we got to keep an eye on. There's a lot of profiles on him. ESPN talks to him. Ariel talks to him, all these people. And again, I understand it, but this was a guy that did not live up to his billing. He was the complete opposite. If you wanted to switch the odds, that's how it looked tonight. Barcelos looked like the minus 1150 favorites. So Payton Talbott, easily the biggest stock dropper on this card. Okay, now the next one, there's a couple different ways you could go on this one. But for me, I went with the betting odds, and Nakamura. This was another guy who was a big favorite on this card, minus 600. And again, same thing, didn't look competitive. Gafurov, he went out there and he completely dominated him in this fight. Looked great. Did not look like a plus 430 underdog. So Nakamura, back to the drawing board, suffers his first career loss. And, they like going to Asia, and well, actually, they haven't been to Japan in a while, but this is a guy that, 3 straight wins in the UFC. All that momentum's gone with the way he lost her tonight. So it's back to the drawing board with him. We'll see what he's able to do, but tough one there for Nakamura, who loses his first career fight. And then the other one, fairly obvious here. I think people would, mention this. You could have gone a couple different ways with this one, but unfortunately, you have to put Umar Nurmagomedov on here. Now, I don't think Umar fought a bad fight. I mean, this fight was close. People are going to revisit this fight and probably think, oh, Umar lost, all this stuff, but it was close. I mean, Umar takes that 5th round, he probably wins the fight, right? So, but his stock goes down simply for the fact that he was undefeated. If he had lost a few fights and he lost this fight, I don't know if I'd put him this high, but it's the fact that, people are saying no one's going to beat him. And, there were a lot of people who said that he would dominate Merab, and it was a close fight, and Merab ended up taking it out here. But his stock has to take a hit simply for the fact that he's not undefeated anymore. And, you look at Habib, he was undefeated, so it's just sort of the optics of it. I mean, if his last name's Umar Smith and he fought on this card, I'm probably not putting him here, but there's just a lot of expectations with that last name, with what he's done and how he was undefeated. So Umar has to be on here as a stock dropper, just for the simple fact that, and again, I thought he fought a good fight, but if you look at the overall stock, him losing now, it does hurt his stock. Now, let's talk about some honorable mentions. This one has to get mentioned. Jamal Hill was a favorite and he lost, and he gets finished. That's back-to-back losses for him now. Again, I don't think, how fans are with, Hill, they don't like him, all this stuff. The revisionist history of this fight is, oh, Jamal Hill's overrated, he's not very good. This was a competitive fight. It was. I thought Jamal won round 2. I thought Yuri won round 1. I think prior to Yuri finishing Jamal, I thought Yuri was on his way to winning a decision. He was getting the better exchanges, but Jamal's stock takes a hit because he's now been finished in back-to-back fights after being, on a nice win streak and being a former champion. And, also just the fact that, for title contention, like he's sort of out of that contender spot now. He'll have to fight someone else. Jamal Hill has to get an honorable mention. I can understand people putting him in the number 3 spot over Umar because Umar fought better. And obviously Umar had a close fight, but it's the fact that Jamal wasn't undefeated and didn't have all this hype behind him. I mean, the odds were close going in, right? Like Jamal was only a minus 135. So it's a little bit different than, say, Umar, who's a much bigger favorite in that spot. So Jamal gets honorable mention. And the other one we got to mention on this card too is Carol Rosa. She was a favorite in her fight against Perez, and she doesn't get it done. I know a lot of people were high on her. I actually picked her as well. And she was what in this fight? She was minus 250. Again, closer fight, but You got to win fights like this, and in a division like what was I going to say? In a division that she's in, you need to get like big wins like this, because at 135, because it's kind of a wide open field. So missed opportunity here for Rosa. Credit to Perez for getting the win, but Carol Rosa also getting an honorable mention in this spot. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. What are your top 3 and bottom 3? Give me your list and we can debate that. That's a lot more fun than critiquing my picks. My name is James Lynch. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I'll see you next week on the Stock Report. Thanks so much for watching.